Namaskar. Welcome to Global Insights, episode 316. Please like this program to make it go viral. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of March, and here are the main points. In US news, President Biden projects leadership in his first State of the Union address. Lots of promises to Americans amid sinking poll numbers. Capitalism is about competition and not just profits. NATO laid down the map for Putin, asserts Biden. Biden banning Russia from US airspace because of Ukraine. And the GOP response for the SOTU is if you are weak at home, you cannot be strong abroad. Sridharji, welcome to the show, sir. And I hope you saw the SOTU, the State of the Union address. I did. He sounded more like a Republican than Democrat, sir.
Good morning, good day to everybody. Yes, I watched the full show. I also watched the rebuttal from or the counterpoints from the GOP, as well as the Democratic side, their specific viewpoints. First and foremost, I think you must congratulate President Biden. He was very articulate, he was very confident, and he had come extremely well prepared to deliver what he believes to be his message. Of course, the poll numbers don't reflect the strong sentiments that he has expressed. Obviously, everybody is aware of the number of challenges that he is facing at home. Notwithstanding that, I think if you are a Democratic constituent, he very much delivered the message that they were expecting him to deliver at the State of the Union.
And in Russia-Ukraine developments, more attacks on the horizon around major Ukraine cities. And let's take a look at the map right now to see what are all the places from where the Russians are thrusting into Ukraine. Sridharji, there was also an attempt to assassinate Zelensky that appears to have been thwarted, and 660,000 refugees have so far fled Ukraine, according to the United Nations. Sir, you can talk to the map now. It's up there, sir.
I think it's great. I think the objective was to point out, we had talked about this, I think, a couple of sessions ago, but it's very clear that they are launching from the north, from northeast, and then east, and then from south. These are the four areas from which the Russian forces are coming in. It's obviously one of the launch pads is Belarus. Belarus is in the thick of things with Russia, which is the reason why they are getting tangled with all the sanctions or all the consequences that is flowing from it. Is obviously the project Kiev is the Belarus-based forces, and there's one flank that is emerging from there. Around March 1st, Russia occupied parts of the northeastern region of Ukraine, and then you have 2 points of attack going in. One is into Kharkiv, which is one of the most important cities. And then the other one is a flank emerging going into Kiev. The third is the very famous eastern provinces, the Donbass region. And you can see the attacks going from that side. And obviously Crimea, which they have occupied. And you have 3 flanks going in there. But one important area here is the Mariupol area. And I think that there has been at least 10 Greek soldiers who have been killed, or 10 Greek citizens have been killed, which prompted the Greeks to issue a warning that Greece could be drawn into the war because its citizens are being targeted. Obviously, that's a political statement. These army people don't differentiate between whether it is a Greek or a Romanian or a Polish or a Ukrainian, especially when they launch missile attacks from remote places.
And Ukraine's foreign minister says, or I should say, asks China to mediate ceasefire, and China says it supports negotiations. So Ukraine is now starting to look out to various countries. They first approached India, I think, even the Pope perhaps, and now China.
Indeed. I think before we get to this specific, I think it's important to point out that there's been rumors floating around for a couple of days. We didn't want to get into it, that there was this special Chechen forces which was sent into Kiev to assassinate. And the entire contingent has been attacked or has been taken out. That's the message that was coming out, but we refrained from making a statement on that. But now more news media outlets are publishing that there was this attempted attack and it has been repelled. That just also basically tells you that there seems to be very strong intelligence within the Ukraine to repulse any such types of moves that is likely to emanate from Russia. Now, with regard to Ukraine approaching China, Ukraine and China have a very strong relationship on some of the nuclear and space related areas in terms of joint collaboration. Needless to say, their inert gases as well as some of the minerals are of strategic importance to China. So Ukraine is saying, okay, Israel had volunteered, Turkey had volunteered, obviously they had reached out to India. Pope himself was keen to intervene and offered. Now the foreign minister has gone to China because it is believed that China has much higher influence, though India may claim otherwise, to Russia to see whether they can mediate. Strangely or surprisingly, Chinese foreign ministry did issue a statement, which is to say that they don't see war as an appropriate solution to fix the issue. They believe in diplomacy and mediation. So let us see what happens to those discussions, Sriji.
And now many corporations are making their exit from Russia as the sanctions and fallout begins. Canada to shut all its ports to Russian ships. The World Court to hold hearings on alleged genocide. Sridharji, so this is on the one side that Ukraine is also alleging that the Russian troops committed genocide. Now, genocide is a very strong word, sir. What makes you feel that Ukraine has a just case on this? Where did it happen, do you think?
They targeted hospitals. They have the two specific allegations. One is these cluster bombs. The second is, I don't recall the specific verbiage, but there's a second. The two categories of bombs that have been used, which is not supposed to be used in this type of war. But then, of course, war has no rules. Then the second allegation, which is where they have been documenting, is vast number of places which they have targeted in the last 48 to 72 hours are hospitals, buildings, civil infrastructure, people where there are homes of civilians. There was an astonishing video that was projected of a government building, live and in few seconds bursting up, which is not a military target or which is not a military theater of operations, but it is basically a civil infrastructure. So this is the basis of Ukrainian documentation and filing in the World Court that this is a genocide, and especially very deliberate targeting of even hospitals, which has pushed Kiev to move the hospitals underground. If you have seen images, you have seen images of people, being sheltered in railway stations, underground railway stations, etc. Of course, everybody will present a counter argument. Such incidents have happened in prior wars. What is so new? Well, that's up to the World Court to decide whether it constituted genocide or not.
And an update from Europe. Europe and Canada shut airspace to Russian flights. Turkey rejects Russia request for Navy ships to pass Bosporus. So this is a significant point. So Turkey now says that it will not allow the Russian ships to come to the aid of their troops on the ground, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Also, some of them are commercial liners which carry the produce through Black Sea. So it is it's very interesting that the Turkey now is very actively engaged. This follows some of the blockades that has been applied by UK as well as by France. So you can see the patterns gradually evolving, and Greece has stepped up as well. So from Mediterranean to Black Sea, and then to the upper English Channel and the other side of the Atlantic, you are beginning to see progressive moves being made by many countries to actually choke Russia.
And many European nation citizens are now joining Ukrainians to fight the Russians. So this is again a new development where I think many countries are saying that if you want to go to Ukraine to fight the Russians, you can do so. Some paperwork also has been relaxed, I heard. Sridharji, how long before Ukraine also starts feeling the pinch? Because the some of the facilities, like I think the oil processing facility, Russia has bombed that. So they are going to do more and more such things, isn't it?
Russia, Ukraine is impacted. There's no question of Ukraine not being impacted. So it's just their resilience as well as their willingness to defend their own nation. I mean, when you move hospitals into underground bunkers, you are affected. When you are restricting supplies and people just, come in occasionally and pick up their bread and other things, is definitely the life is paralyzed completely. The question is, how much choking it is going to take for Ukrainians to say, okay, we concede, or they're going to say, it doesn't matter, we'll fight to the last minute. That is the resolution that you are seeing today amongst many civilian population in Ukraine. This is our country, and nobody has the right to take over our country, and so we're going to fight for it. That seems to be the general attitude. The fact that, as you pointed out, people from Romania, people from the Baltic states, the Romania, people from Bulgaria and Poland, all volunteering to move into. I also from United Kingdom, there has been people, service people, willing to move in and fight alongside the Ukrainians. It just reflects these anti-Russian sentiments, which probably in some parts of the world it's not prevalent, but clearly in many parts of Europe, you're beginning to see this. By the way, some of the Asian nations, when we come to the Asian section, we'll cover this, have also expressed interest to go and fight for Ukraine.
And in Asia news, Biden delegation backs Taiwan amid China threat with Ukraine tensions. The defense debates heat up in ASEAN and East Asia amid rising tensions in Ukraine. You are spot on, Sridharji. You just mentioned this. Please go ahead, sir. But I just wanted to also say that now it is fast turning out to be more than just Ukraine versus Russia, isn't it? It's more like EU versus Russia or NATO versus Russia. So I don't know if Putin had really bargained for all this, sir.
Why, two important data points that are here, G. One is it's very clear that Putin did not underestimated the tenacity. This is number one. Number two, he probably overestimated the capacity of his soldiers. Many of them are unwilling to fight. Basically they say, what's the strategic objective here? Why are we fighting Ukrainians? Why are we asked to kill these people? So some of these big convoys we are hearing, I don't have corroborated facts, but basically it is some of them are surrendering and leaving their trucks and they're saying we won't fight. So it is clearly anti-sentiments within Russia, and then there's a broader coalition of countries and people willing to take on what they believe to be an unjust set of actions by Russia against the Ukrainians.
And now let's take a look at news coming from India. The Russian envoy assures India that safe passage is being created for Indian nationals, India to send humanitarian aid to Ukraine, 4 ministers to travel to Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Slovakia as special envoys. And we regret to say that thus far, one medical student has lost his life. And we hope that this is limited and not going to spread to other places where the Indian students are still stuck. I'm told that they are in many of the bigger cities. In fact, we're going to do a segment very shortly on somebody who has lived in the Lugansk area, which is one of those places which is a Russian-speaking majority. So slightly different outlook from there as to how things has been, how life has been. Sridharji, take it away, sir, and wrap it up for India, sir. Then we can go to markets.
Okay, just one other, getting back to the previous section, it's very important that Biden sent a delegation to Taiwan. He had received much flack in terms of underestimating Russia, notwithstanding the fact the US had the intelligence and provided the intelligence to NATO and to EU and to China. And the intelligence of China was intelligence given to China was passed on to Russia, and China also underestimated Putin. So therefore, he is sending a clear statement that he's not going to, at least by sending this delegation, he's standing by Taiwan, which is very important because everybody is focusing around Taiwan, and which is the reason why there is growing tensions within Asia in terms of upping up their defense budgets to see whether they could be the next, and that could be either Russia, China together, or China at least in the offing. Coming to India, in all Indian efforts seems to be focused, as far as Ukraine is concerned, in making sure that many of these people, many of the Indians who are stranded in Ukraine are safely and securely, what you call evacuated from the war-torn zones. Russian envoy has stated that he has promised secure passage for the Indians. Lo and behold, I've also heard news which says that some of the Turkish and the Pakistanis put on the Indian flag, and they were able to get through the terrain without being harmed by the Russians. So it's one thing, it is very positive news. The second is there is also some criticism whether India left it too late in terms of the repatriation or the evacuation program. The point is that, at least India is making efforts. Several nations basically said, look, if you are there on your own will, you are there on your own will. As far as US is concerned, made it very explicitly clear, we don't have any we don't keep any records, we don't keep any track people where they are, it is their own will. And, they have to look after themselves. We are not going to send boots on the ground. We are not going to have boots on the ground to repatriate the US citizens. So at least to that extent, you have to probably commend India. Many other nations have also, European nations are also working to see whether they can bring those people back. As far as to wrap up, the Indians are saying that they will do supply as a humanitarian the medical equipment and medical medicines supplies to Ukraine. How that is going to get there, is an interesting point, because most of the airspace is cut off. If at all you are going in, you have to go through land, through those countries such as Romania, Poland, Lithuania, and including, some of the Baltic states which border Ukraine.
And in market news, war can never be the answer. Russian elites speak out against Putin as the world isolates Russia. This is the most important news coming up. Oil heads towards $125 a barrel. With potential fears, Russian oil could be taken off the market. Brent trading is currently at $111.03, and crude is at $109.08, and the 10-year yield rose to 1.743% with focus on crisis. And Bitcoin again starts rising, and it is around 44,000 now. However, there is a lot of volatility around it, and the ruble continues to crash. It's now trading at 118 rubles to a dollar on spot market and 130 to 1 euro. Sridharji, wrap it up for us on the market, sir. And where do you think you can make a call on where do you think that oil is going to go and stop? Because yesterday's State of the Union address did not say that the Keystone Pipeline was being reopened.
No, I think the charts that you are seeing in your screen is something that we will get to. This is, as it relates to State of the Union, and as well as, where United States is importing oil from. Because there's a lot of criticism and flack that effectively, close to 8% of the Russian oil is being imported by US out of its total imports. And the question is, why are we doing it, is one of the questions that's raised. But we'll get to that in a second. From a market's point of view, you can see the squeeze is affecting the oligarchs and the Russian elite. And they are now beginning to say, is this what we bargained for being a Russian? And, how long before we get crushed? The more and more ruble gets crushed in the market, these guys' wealth is going to shrink, and they neither can transact. By the way, there's another important development that has happened in the last 48 hours. Both MasterCard and Visa have actually stopped accepting and processing the payment cards in Russia, which has made people go to desperately go to the banks to draw cash because payment systems don't work, which has a Visa or MasterCard as a payment method, debit or credit. So that is also a binge in the Russian market. So notwithstanding what people say, Russia has been working towards going mainstream, and so any impact on ruble, any cutoff on the wholesale and retail side of the payment system has consequences. Of course, everybody will say we can build this today, we can build this tomorrow. But today, you don't have an alternate payment system when this system is taken out. Maybe 1 year from today, he may have something different. But what happens in 1 year is a different story. With regard to the continued issues around Russia's ability to supply oil, and that in turn transcending and cascading into price, we have already seen, as Sree mentioned, it is 118 to 100. I expect anything somewhere close to 150, 160 in the next few days. And that just is not going to affect only Russia. It is going to affect every gas station in the world. And because most of the world imports oil, either from OPEC or from non-OPEC countries to meet the domestic demand.
And with that, we bring today's edition to a close. We'll be back again on Friday with more news around the world. Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, and support our channel, as well as please don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. We have about 1 in 2 still who have not subscribed to our channel. That's a very healthy sign, but we urge you to subscribe so that you get notified of our videos. Sometimes we put 3 videos a day, sometimes just 2, but we are trying to give you quality content as news is traveling around the world. Thank you very much, Sridharji, one more time, and we'll see you again on Friday, and namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Wednesday, and then we'll see you on Friday.